Thinking about Cancun, maybe you're already packing, or maybe it's just on your wish list. Well, you've come to the right place. This deep dive, it's all about giving you, the traveler, the real scoop for a safer, smoother trip.
Exactly. We've really dug into a bunch of stuff for fellow travelers,
Yeah.
looked at the official U.S. State Department warnings, actual traveler stories from places like Reddit,
Yeah.
advice on safety and scams from world nomads, Yonder travel insurance, that kind of thing, and even just like how to get from the airport.
Yeah, our mission here is pretty simple. Give you the practical stuff you need to, well, navigate Cancun confidently. We'll tackle some worries you might have heard about, flag the really important things every visitor should know,
Yeah.
and basically help you have a great time with fewer bumps in the road. Okay, so let's get into it. First big question, probably top of mind for anyone planning a trip, is Cancun actually safe for us tourists?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. If you look at online forums like Reddit, you see loads of travelers saying, yeah, I felt totally safe, especially if they stuck to the main resort zones or just used common sense. People point out, look, tons of visitors go every year, no problem. One person on Reddit even did a sort of statistical look, saying for a tourist spot, the number of incidents compared to visitors is actually quite low.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely reassuring to hear when you're booking flights and hotels. But then, you've got the official side. The U.S. State Department advisory for Quintana Roo, that's the state Cancun's in, it says, exercise increased caution because of crime.
Right.
And their point, which is important for us travelers to get, is that, yeah, the gang violence isn't aimed at tourists. But unfortunately, innocent people, including Americans, have been injured just being nearby.
That's a really key thing for travelers to understand. The risk isn't usually direct, but it's there. Being in the wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. So someone else on Reddit made a fair point too. They said if you applied those same crime stats to warnings for many big U.S. cities, you'd probably see similar advice. So perspective matters for us travelers.
Absolutely. It's about weighing it all up as you plan. But we also have to mention the other side of the coin. We saw another Reddit comment from a visitor who called Cancun very dangerous. Just their experience.
Oh, really? What kind of things?
They mentioned stuff like being overcharged, people offering drugs, feeling unsafe walking around, even problems with corrupt police stopping rental cars. So, as a traveler looking into it, you see this whole spectrum.
And that's exactly why we're doing this. It's not for us to say safe or unsafe. It's about giving you, the traveler, the info to make your own calls, take your own precautions. Makes sense.
Totally. Okay, let's shift to something super practical for when you first land, getting from the airport to your hotel. Or Airbnb, whatever.
Yes, airport transfers.
This is one area where, honestly, all our sources pretty much agree. For us travelers, booking your ride before you get there, it's not just suggested, it's like strongly recommended.
Yeah, definitely.
One article flat out said it is not safe for tourists to just show up hoping to grab a cab. They talked about scams, crazy high prices, unreliable drivers.
Right.
Totally different from, say, landing at LAX where you just hop in the taxi line.
Right. The advice is consistently book ahead. Avoid those spontaneous pickups right outside the terminal. Happy Shuttle Cancun got a specific mention as a reliable choice for tourists. They have the folks in green uniforms holding a sign with your name,
Right.
certified drivers who speak English, and they take you straight where you need to go.
Yeah.
It's about that security and convenience when you've just arrived.
And the why behind avoiding random airport taxis is pretty serious for us travelers. They talk about fake taxi scams,
Yeah.
apparently a big issue for tourists in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And it ranges, right, from just getting ripped off on the fare, which is annoying when you're tired, to like actual robbery, or even something called express kidnapping, which obviously no traveler wants any part of.
No way. And that connects to the wider advice for us travelers. Generally avoid hailing taxis right off the street anywhere in Cancun. The recommendation is use the official taxi stands. They call them sitios. You'll see them at designated spots. Or, just have your hotel or maybe the restaurant call a registered taxi for you. That's much safer.
And finding a good driver and keeping their number for later trips is smart too.
Good tip.
It's not just travel blogs saying this either. Even the State Department advisory notes that U.S. government employees there can't hail street taxis. They have to use dispatched cars or those official sitios. That tells you something about the potential risks for tourists, doesn't it?
It really does. Though, interestingly, for travelers looking for other options, both the State Dept and a Reddit comment mentioned ride shares, like Uber. Apparently, you can get an Uber from the airport now.
Oh, okay. So that's another possibility.
Yeah, but still, the usual caution applies. Check the app, match the driver, match the car before you hop in. Same as anywhere.
Right. Okay, so key takeaway for travelers on arrival, definitely get that transport sorted before you fly. Nail that down. Got it. Now let's talk about other scams. Beyond just the taxis, what else should tourists be looking out for?
Well, like we touched on, those fake taxis are a big one. But another scam targeting visitors involves people pretending to be police, corrupt police. They might even have fake uniforms. They approach tourists, demand fines on the spot, maybe even try to march you to an ATM.
Wow, okay. That sounds incredibly stressful for a tourist. How can we spot that it's not legit? What are the red flags for travelers?
The main thing the sources say for us travelers to remember is, real cops, if there's a genuine fine, will direct you to an official police station to pay it. They won't demand cash on the street or take you to an ATM.
Okay, station, not street ATM.
Exactly. And if someone suspicious does approach you like that, claiming to be police, the advice is firm. Never, ever offer a bribe. That can make things worse.
Right. Don't bribe, so what do you do?
Try to call 078, that's the tourist helpline, or just dial 911, the main emergency number.
Okay, 078 or 911. Good numbers for travelers to have handy. What other scams are out there?
ATM skimming. That's unfortunately pretty common in tourist spots globally, Cancun included. They put these little devices on the machines to steal your card details. Sometimes the device just swallows your card whole.
Ugh. So how do we travelers avoid that?
Best bet. Use ATMs inside actual banks or inside big, reputable hotels. Avoid those standalone machines on the street or in little convenience stores. Much riskier.
Makes sense. Stick to secure locations for cash. What about when we're paying for things as tourists?
Yeah, watch out for banknote switching. This happens sometimes if you're using larger bills, maybe ones you just got from the exchange. You hand over, say, a 500 peso note, and the vendor might quickly swap it, claim you gave him a 50, or even give you change based on the smaller amount, or try to pass off a fake bill in your change.
Sneaky. So what's the advice for travelers there?
First, get familiar with what the local money looks like, the real stuff. Use cards when you can. It's often safer. Definitely don't exchange money with random people on the street. And if you do have big bills, maybe ask your hotel or a bank to break them into smaller ones before you head out shopping.
It sounds like, yeah, as tourists, we just need to be a bit more switched on than maybe back home. Okay, what about souvenirs? Lots of travelers want to bring something back. Any pitfalls?
Definitely. Fake souvenirs. Big marker for that. That ancient Mayan artifact for $10, probably not real. Look for actual artist names on handicrafts if possible. Be suspicious of anything super cheap. If you're buying silver, look for the 925 stamp, means it's sterling, and probably buy it from a proper store, not just a beach stall.
Okay. And tequila. I bet travelers buy a lot of tequila.
Yeah. And fakes are an issue there too. Check the label. You want 100% agave? Stick to brands you recognize or that the hotel bar uses maybe. Reputable stuff.
Got it. Be discerning when shopping. Any other scams for tourists?
One more big one is around dodgy tour operators, especially with rentals, like jet skis. The scam is you rent it, bring it back, and suddenly they claim you damaged it, demand cash right then and there to fix it, maybe threaten police involvement.
Oh, man. How do travelers protect themselves from that?
Best way. Use well-known, reputable tour companies. Check reviews online. And before you even get on that jet ski or whatever, take photos or a quick video. Document any scratches or dings that are already there. Proof.
Ah, smart. Preemptive documentation. Good tip for travelers. Okay, let's broaden out a bit. General safety tips for all of us heading to Cancun.
Yeah, the World Nomads article had a good roundup for travelers. Rent from good places, buy authentic stuff from real stores, use those bank ATMs. Always ask for ID if someone says they're police, and definitely never offer a bribe. Just basic good practices for any tourist.
Seems like solid advice anywhere, really. What else?
They also said, don't carry everything with you. Leave spare cash, passports, flashy stuff in the hotel safe. If something bad does happen, like a robbery, call 911 and get a police report if you need it for insurance later.
All right, practical steps.
And the usual stuff. Stick to tourist areas, well-lit streets, especially after dark. Don't walk alone at night if you can help it. Don't wear expensive jewelry or flash cash around. Makes you a target. And again, use official taxis or ride shares, not random street hails.
Okay, that covers a lot for general traveler safety. Did they have anything specific for, say, women traveling?
They did, yeah. Some specific pointers from World Nomads for women travelers in Mexico, like maybe trying to blend in a bit more in cities, perhaps avoiding super short shorts, that kind of thing, just to minimize unwanted attention. Leaving the really pricey jewelry at home is smart for any traveler, but maybe especially for women who might be perceived as easier targets.
Okay. Sensible stuff.
And just being really aware of your surroundings. Hyper-aware, maybe, especially at night. Avoid walking alone then. Do a bit of research on safer neighborhoods before booking your stay. Stick to those areas.
That's good proactive advice for women travelers planning things out. Awareness is key.
Definitely. Also, being careful with money. Maybe avoid ATMs late at night. Handle cash discreetly. Keep some locked up. Watch your bag. Watch your passport. And really important, watch your drinks. Never leave them unattended.
Yeah, that's crucial for everyone, but good to emphasize.
Right. And just being sensible about alcohol. Know your limits, don't get too drunk, and look out for your friends. Make sure no one wanders off alone if they've had too much. Sharing your location with someone back home is a good idea too. And just, projecting confidence when you walk around.
That's all really valuable, practical advice. The State Department also had some broader tips for all travelers, didn't they?
Yep. They advise keeping folks back home in the loop on your plans. Share your GPS location if you split up from your group. If you're taking a taxi alone, maybe text the cab number to a friend. Use toll roads if you're driving. They're generally safer.
Driving. Yeah, what about driving?
They suggest avoiding driving alone or at night if you can. And exercising extra caution around bars, nightclubs, casinos, places where, things can happen. Again, don't flash wealth. Be super vigilant at banks and ATMs. Sign up for STEP, the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, so the embassy can reach you in an emergency.
Okay, STEP enrollment. Good tip.
And just have a backup plan, a contingency for if things go sideways.
Right. So the consistent theme from everyone for us travelers is be prepared, be aware, use caution, plan ahead. Okay, now what about that classic Cancun decision? Stick to the all-inclusive resort bubble or venture out?
Yeah, you see different views on this, especially on Reddit among travelers. Some people feel totally safe, totally happy, just staying inside the resort the whole
I
time.
mean, you can see why, right? As a traveler, it feels contained, secure, everything's easy.
For sure. But then other travelers argue, hey, if you only stay in the resort, you're missing the real Mexico. You miss the culture, the amazing nature like cenotes, the Mayan ruins, and often much better, more authentic food outside the hotel zone.
Also, a very fair point for travelers. You flew all that way.
Exactly. So for travelers who maybe want to explore but are a bit nervous about safety, a common suggestion is booking tours through your hotel. Gives you a bit more confidence you're going with someone reputable.
Okay, using the hotel concierge for tours. Good middle ground.
Yeah. Ultimately, how much you explore is really up to each traveler's comfort level.
Makes sense. Okay, let's quickly revisit interactions with police. That can make travelers anxious.
Right. We mentioned the potential for corruption. So, main advice for travelers again, if approached, ask to see official police ID. Calmly, politely, and absolutely positively. Never offer a bribe.
Got it. Never bribe. Are there specific police or resources for tourists if they need real help?
Well, generally in Mexican tourist spots, you look for the tourist police. They often wear different uniforms, might speak some English, and are usually seen as more helpful and less prone to corruption than maybe the regular local police. Seek them out if you have an issue. And remember that 078 number for tourist assistance. You can call that.
Okay, tourist police or 078?
And obviously, for any real emergency, it's 911, just like here.
Yeah.
Good for all travelers to have those numbers saved.
Definitely. Good practical info. Lastly, just a couple of quick health and other safety points for the trip.
Yeah, the State Department notes that while Cancun has good hospitals, travelers need to know they often want payment up front, and your U.S. insurance might not be accepted directly. They also warn that some private hospitals in tourist zones like Cancun have had reports of really, really high charges.
Oof. Okay, so travel insurance is key, and maybe check the coverage details carefully. Something for travelers to really look into.
Absolutely. Another point is alcohol safety. Be aware there have been reports about unregulated or counterfeit alcohol in some tourist places, and drink spiking can happen. So again, watch your drink, know where it's coming from, don't overdo it.
Good reminder. And beach safety. The beaches are gorgeous, but...
Right. They can be dangerous too. Strong currents, riptides, sometimes big unexpected waves. Travelers absolutely need to pay attention to the warning flags on the beach. Red means stay out. Even if you're a strong swimmer, obey the flags.
Okay, heed the beach flags. Got it. So it's about being prepared health-wise and just staying alert, even when relaxing.
Exactly. It always comes back to us as travelers, being informed and making smart choices.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what are the absolute must-knows for our listeners planning that Cancun trip? The key things for travelers.
Okay, for you, the traveler. Number one, pre-book that airport ride. Seriously. Avoid street taxis generally. Number two, keep your radar up for scams, taxis, fake police, ATMs, money changing, even souvenirs and tours. Be vigilant. Three, general awareness. Stick to safer areas, especially at night. Don't flash valuables. Four, specific tips for women travelers about blending in, awareness, watching drinks, looking out for each other. And five, make informed choices about exploring beyond the resort. Know the help numbers: 078 for tourist assistance, 911 for emergencies.
It sounds like for us travelers, yes, there are things to be cautious about in Cancun, but most people do have great safe trips if they just use that common sense and take precaution.
That's exactly it. Being prepared doesn't mean being paranoid. It just means you're empowered to have a better, safer time as a traveler.
So, thinking about your own potential Cancun trip now, what part of the planning feels most important after hearing all this? Or maybe what kind of adventure outside the resort are you most curious about now? And, what steps would you take to make sure it's a safe one? Something to think about as you keep planning. We hope this deep dive gives you a really solid base for your travels.